Todd Pappy, game director at God of War Ascension. What you're about to see is a making of video that we've been shooting over about 2+ years. It gives you a good idea of the inception of an idea all the way through to the final product. Keep in mind that this is a work in progress. Enjoy.
Level design is a fantasy. I want to do something that I can't do in real life. Level design is also a challenge. It's not easy, it's not handed to me. I feel like I accomplished something when I did it. And in the end, level design is about giving that reward. You want to do it again and again and again and again. Moving to a multiplayer game, we can't take all of the things that we did with single player and think that they're going to work in multiplayer. That involves levels in terms of how you're going to funnel players together while they're playing cooperatively, or how are you going to get players to run routes in a map when they're playing against each other so that they don't all clump up in the same areas.
God of War multiplayer is all about telling the single-player experience of God of War in the context of a multiplayer environment. You have the exotic locations, the grand set pieces, the cool mechanical contraptions that you're used to using in God of War, and the lore that takes place in the God of War universe contained in these maps that are very well thought out, with very high level design and production value.
I think you'd expect that the levels in multiplayer are simpler than the single player, but they're, I'd say, 5 times as complicated. We've got traps, we've got different capture points, 10 different chests, big titans in the background, things like that. There's just so much going on. I haven't seen a multiplayer out there like our game, and for us, we wanted to make sure that we weren't copying anybody, and it feels like God of War.
We're going to breathe a lot of fresh life into this genre, and we're really creating kind of a whole new multiplayer genre.
The tutorial level that we're going to have for multiplayer is basically the player's introduction to multiplayer. You're going to start off as a warrior. You're imprisoned in a location that I cannot name or I'll get killed. Your life is about to flash before your eyes. When that happens, you're summoned to the gods, and the gods teach you how to fight and how to go, bring about glory for them. So how we want to kind of do this is you see like the establishing shot of the actual warrior coming down, and then you wind up seeing, the Zeus out in the foreground. So you're going up to actually go meet with the gods. Obviously, when you're in this point, you won't have your armor, you won't have your weapon, but since you'll have a head. I don't have a head right now. So, right now, I'm just teeth and eyes. There's these statues that represent all the gods in the background. You get prompted to select one of your allegiances. You got Ares, Hades, Zeus, Poseidon. I'll walk up over here, and when I come to Ares makes a plea for me. Once you select a god, you'll actually get whatever weapon is best for them. So like for Ares, it's the sword. For Hades, it's the hammer. Zeus is the gauntlet. Poseidon is the spear. You start seeing the light in me and interact with it. That's when this guy appears. From this normal tutorial, he's just asking me to do quick attacks on him. Then after you go through the quick attack things like heavy attacks, there's certain things that we need to teach you in a way that's directly related to the game. Say for instance, like how I told me to do my L2 to escape, and that's very key because that gets you out of a lot of situations. And once you actually beat them, you get the praise from the gods. You get to go. By that point in time, this is done. You should be able to at least do basic fighting.
We really recognize that we needed this after a few play tests, and people didn't know a lot of the moves in the game, and they just, it was too much to absorb at first. So, okay, we really need to have them go through a tutorial level. We'll take this, and we will do a bit of a walkout where it's a little more detail, increase the scale, make it feel a little bit more epic. We have these stairs, you'll see Zeus looking at you with godly statue just run up here. This is the tutorial level running in the game right now. Let's see kind of what it would look like, just get a feel for it. It's all kind of came last second, but we're behind it. It's going to be awesome. I'm pretty excited about it.
Excellent.
We're trying to make it as epic and as cool looking as possible. That's kind of the challenge, making sure that there's always something to do for everyone, there's always some cool moment that's a very God of War moment. One of the first levels we started designing was the Troy level. The idea behind that one was, because we've got the two factions, the Spartans and the Trojans, it made sense to have a map that kind of is based around the war between the two of them. There will be an objective at some point that gives them kind of a big bonus, and that is to fire off a catapult to one position. So the Trojans will be trying to destroy the Trojan horse, and then the Spartans will be trying to destroy the statue of Apollo. This is an overview of the Troy map. Spartans start from the left, Trojans start from the right. There's like 3 tiers basically. The bottom tier, the middle tier, and then the back top tier. And all of those tiers are kind of interconnected, and you can cross over between all of them. The unique thing about this map is that you can use the life cycle, which appears in the single player as well. So you'll see, like, for example, this bridge here, that can collapse away. One of the first things you can do is pick up the life cycle. At the moment it looks like a flag, but we'll actually get it look like a life cycle. And what you can do with that is life cycle different areas in the map. So for example, this gate, I can life cycle it up, and that creates like a barrier, no one can get through, but they can actually hack through it eventually, but it'll slow them down. I can bring it down again, of course. Here there's another life cycle thing, so if someone, for example, is chasing me, I can just stop, life cycle that away. If they get killed by it, it counts as a trap, so I get the extra points for it as well. And then one of the bigger life cycle moments is the bridge in the center, so this one is kind of connecting the 2 middle points. You can life cycle like part of it, we can life cycle the whole thing. Here's angry soldiers that are throwing the spears at you. Here's another hidden trap, so this flamethrower, I get this view from my side, and I can kind of suddenly attack someone. On their side, they never really see if I'm really behind there. They can only see the flame, but they don't know if someone's actually waiting for them there. As the player with the last cycle can actually bring the catapults back to its original kind of position. I'm the Trojan and I head it out, it'll rotate to the left and fire off something to the Trojan horse, catches on fire, looks cool in the background. You get some points for it, doesn't end the match, but gives you some favor. We definitely want to encourage the level design to kind of support 2 or more players kind of working together.
Troy is the biggest level we have. It's absolutely massive. You can take 2 large levels from, say, God of War 3, you can fit them right inside of Troy, and Troy would still be bigger. There's just so much there, and on top of that, we have to have it running with 8 players. That's I'd say the biggest challenge. The other challenge among memory and performance is just getting it done.
Troy is fun because I remember seeing the first block model of the game, and it's like this whole city, and so I was going, oh wow, you know, when I'm painting this, it's like, okay, here's the armory, and maybe there's like a garden down there, and this is where people would go to the market and buy stuff. So this was from the level designer, the block model before anything else is existing. It's really fun and challenging to work on top of this because it's so abstract that you're like, okay, what can this be? You know, what can I turn that shape into? So I wanted to show this city that's in ruin, and since it's at night, you know, I wanted the lighting to be really dramatic. So the city sort of goes down and it's on fire. And then this is a closer view of one of the areas, just going in and populating it and refining some of the architecture a little bit. And then this was an object in the level that you can grab, and it's our flamethrower. You can get behind it and roast your enemies. These were really fun to design as well.
My favorite part of the level is there's this little section where there's the building kind of in the middle, and there's a flamethrower at the bottom. This is the concept for this building. So originally we enter on the backside because for the gameplay we had to change it. See, the camera is looking this way so they couldn't see. I opened up this wall so you can get in here and you can use the flamethrower.
When I set out to create a multiplayer map, it's very similar to the way we create single-player maps. I like to start with one idea, something to hook it into. For one of the maps, the idea was there's a huge Gorgon statue. She's the kind of focal point of this map, and then everything is built kind of around her. See, the level's kind of built on top of the creature, and then we'll get down in here and I can kind of show you what space feels like. Here's a flamethrower, so I can kill guys with that. I can jump down below. There's a lot of cool stuff I can pick up, like the club, which I can swing and I can throw it at guys. Just very exciting to run around and be able to manipulate different things in the environment. From here, I can use the cannon, which I can fire, and it will basically, as you can see, kind of mortar everybody down below. And then I can move that actually up to a higher location as well, and then do the same with the top tier. So where you saw guys before that were using the various weapons and using the head, I can surprise them and hit them with the cannon. And then if I jump through the portal, I'm back in the middle, so you can see that it weaves in and out of itself in a balanced way that makes sense. People seem to really like this map, and it's exciting to be able to get it to a place where it feels pretty complete before art goes to it. I think the most rewarding part, next to seeing people play your level and telling me they like it, is certainly getting the art on top of it.
As environment artists on multiplayer, you really do need to keep in mind that the player is the main focus of everything. If people remember from God of War 2, there was a whole level of the bog, and we're kind of bringing that back into Ascension, revisualizing it, making it prettier, and making it more nostalgic for the players. So we fleshed out that we wanted dark tones accented by like gold or bronze. Just looking at vines happening here, trees and the edge over here for the rocks. There's a lot of roots going on. There's a lot of broken pillars. This is the stuff that really takes the most time. Adding personality to the level, little nicks on the columns, little like cutoffs. This is a pretty important piece. So this would be its own unique texture, whereas this column or these pieces right here, this trim even, it would be tileable so that it would be easier to use throughout the level. I like to start off by kind of getting it shape first. Right now this is smooth, and eventually I'll convert it to actual polys, and this is obviously way too expensive for the level, so we take this and bake it down to the low poly, and it already has all that detail. And as I'm working, I'm going to keep using these elements that I've established here and eventually bring it up to the other parts of the level that aren't arted yet. It just makes things a lot faster. This level has gone through so much design changes, and I feel like I'm almost pressed up against the wall. I definitely need to kick it in overdrive now that everything's settled.
This is the Labyrinth. The high concept for it is based off the Labyrinth from God of War 3, so we're trying to bring back some iconic locations from the previous game. How cool would it be to have the players kind of in and inside the Labyrinth while it's being constructed? This is the starting cube where players actually jump out of. The other side, the Trojan side, will have the same setup so they can kind of get into theirs. Both of these cubes meet up together, and then they start kind of rotating around each other, so they change their positions 90 degrees, and then eventually a third cube, the green cube, comes in. The green one, the red one, and the blue one kind of lock into place, and then you're moving between all three of them. Then that's when we also bring in the Scorpion. He'll actually kind of come up from the side of the cube and try and attack. That's the basic setup. So this is the intro. Each faction starts on their own side. The cubes lock into place. Then you can actually jump down and you're on the top tier of the cube. Here you can get the pickups, you can set some of the traps, and this is where the domination point is. While you're doing that, the two cubes actually meet up in the middle. Each level has its own trap, so this one, you go to flamethrower there, and you've got like a conveyor belt kind of mechanism that you can use to jump off at different levels of the map. The cubes start rotating, and now they'll meet in the center. So now these have connected, now this opened up new areas. The hard part designing this level was trying to keep it as simple as possible but still have the movement and the rotation without confusing players. So that's why you see it's mostly kind of looking at it on a side view. We found that was the easiest way for players to kind of know where they are and where they are in relation to everyone else. So you see in the background, that's the cage where Pandora was in the actual single player. You'll see cubes moving around in the background throughout the game, so things are slowly happening in the background while Kratos is basically assembling the Labyrinth in God of War 3. Scorpion should appear as well. There he is. Basically he's kind of harassing you and protecting that point and trying to swat players off it. The idea is that you'll eventually get favor for hitting his arms or kind of damaging him and potentially killing him or throwing him off the edge or tearing off his arm and putting it into the grinder or something like that. So
it's like the cubes are moving around, they're sliding in and out. You gotta be careful because they move and everybody will get thrown off of it. So like they're these huge titans, and then there's also the Scorpion that makes his appearance and comes in there and attacks you while you're on the edge of the cube. So for God of War, people who play God of War 3, this is gonna be an awesome level. People who've never played God of War 3, it's gonna be awesome for them too.
One of the cool things that we have an opportunity to do in our multiplayer is to give fans new places to play, but also go and revisit older places that they loved from the previous God of Wars. One of the things that we're always trying to do is like, how can we make this aesthetically feel like it was ripped apart? And so one of the things we talked about, maybe the exterior wood of this cube is really dark and damp, but once it's ripped open, all the wood inside is like dry, so that might help sell our story a little bit more. And then what are the main like iconic pieces of these cubes from God of War 3 that people will recognize, and it's like, oh, these like cool clamp sort of doorway pieces, and going in and going, oh yeah, there were all these really cool Icarus kind of murals around, so let's put some of those in. Even though we're not going to go over here, we're going to break some stuff up, we'll put some moving stuff there and really like let the player's imagination fill in the rest and imagine that, you know, this is like this huge mechanical marvel that extends beyond where you can travel. Going more detailed and going to the top is all wood and you have that large clamp, and then maybe the next layer of wood got ripped off, so then we can see more of that refined metal where maybe there's gears and vents inside of that. So we try and put love into everything that we can, and I think that's what makes our game great, and, you know, really separates it, is how much sort of detail as it, you know, funnels down.